we're coming to the final session of our day one. This will primarily be a presentation by our core directors. Our BBC core director, Dr. Taylor, will kick off first. He will lead on to our bioinformatics training uh, collaborator in Fine Biotech. And then from there on, we'll lead on to our molecular cell biology core director, Dr. Yang Hwan Lee. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Chris to get on with the BBC core presentation.
All right, so I've been associated with the LBRN since the beginning of last cycle as the director of the BBC course of the Bioinformatics, Biostatistics, and Computational Biology. And over the course of that time, our approach has really evolved. And as Gus mentioned earlier, that the BBC core ultimately will be transitioning to a data science core. So I'm an associate professor at the Louisiana State Health Sciences Center in New Orleans, which is different from where Urshka is at in northern Louisiana. So we have the LSU Health Sciences in Shreveport. And the mission of the BBC core is really to, there's a number of things that we're looking to do. And we want to assist with connecting appropriate collaborators throughout the network. So if somebody comes to us and needs assistance with particular types of bioinformatics or biostatistics, I'm a big believer that you want to connect them with the most appropriate person to work with them, and that is someone who has the primary expertise in the research area that they need to work in. And we also provide essential computational and analytic expertise to the LBRN researchers, and the idea there is to enhance their competitiveness for R15s and other grant opportunities, and to help them to generate primary preliminary data for their grant applications. We also have a major focus on educating the LBRN researchers in bioinformatics techniques. And this has just always been my big belief that the biomedical researchers need to be involved in the analysis of their data, because they're the ones that have the most domain-specific knowledge and can benefit the most from being empowered to perform their own bioinformatics analysis with our assistance. And lastly, exposing the LBRN researchers to the latest research methods. And so I just wanted to put up, a map of the institutions involved in the LBRN, just so you get an appreciation. Many of you are already familiar with this, that the institutions are spread throughout the state of Louisiana, and we have a concentration around Baton Rouge, where the flagship institution LSU Baton Rouge is. I'm in New Orleans at the LSU Health Sciences Center, and then there's also a contingent up here in northern Louisiana, which that's where Urshka is based. And I can't say enough about Urshka. She really helps to bookend, as one of our associate directors, the northern part of Louisiana, whereas I'm primarily representing the southern part. And the way that we've got this, the core leadership team structured, because of the distribution of institutions throughout the state, each primarily undergraduate institution that we work with, the 8 of them have a core liaison officer, and I'll go into what those members do. But I wanted to highlight that in the core leadership team, Urshka is up there at LSU Health Sciences Shreveport. I'm at LSU Health Sciences New Orleans, and then a number of other of our leaders are in Baton Rouge, but each of them has a specific expertise. So Michael Berlinski is more of a protein structure expert. I'm more of a microbiome expert. Urshka, she does a lot of different things, RNA sequencing, and a number of different analyses. And with the new cycle, we've added a biostatistician, Zhu Wen, and Dr. Wen will help with assisting our investigators with, statistical analysis that's needed in the course of their applications and their generation of preliminary data. And then also this cycle, we've added a new primarily undergraduate institution at the University of New Orleans. And so we've appointed a core liaison officer, Dr. Hope, for University of New Orleans. And I'm actually very happy that we were able to add UNO, because that's where I started my career as an educator in the computer science department at UNO. And in fact, I helped to recruit Dr. Hope when he was joining UNO right before I left for LSU Health Sciences. And so our core liaison officers, they're really there. They identify the needs for their campus and their LBRN faculty, and help to bridge the gap and communicate the needs of their campus with the BBC core leadership. They also communicate the educational opportunities to their faculty, and they're the primary gateway for what are called core bucks applications, which I'll get into on the next slide, that their faculty can submit, and they provide recommendations to us for funding. And then lastly, they describe to us future needs that their campus that they've identified, and investigators on their campus that could take advantage of the BBC core. So the Core Bucks program provides a pool of funding for the LBRN member institution investigators, and they can apply to receive core services to assist with their data analysis. This is primarily to help generate preliminary data for other funding opportunities. And all reasonable requests will really are recommended for funding. And these funds can be utilized for any services that are available at a facility that has a schedule of listed fees. And so some examples is the Gene Lab NGS Bioinformatics core at the LSU main campus. I have a microbial genomics resource group, and we provide services out of the Health Sciences Center in New Orleans. Urshka is involved with the LSU Health Sciences Shreveport Bioinformatics core. And then at the end of my presentation, Ilya Brodsky will tell you about the Pine Biotech partnership that we have through the LBRN and some of the services that they can provide. So this is just a flyer for the Core Bucks program, and it's distributed to the undergraduate institutions by the core liaisons, and it provides them with examples of things that can be done and what they can apply for funding to do. And so our researchers are encouraged to apply for these funds. In terms of hardware infrastructure, we talked about, this came up a number of times already today, but there's the Loney HPC, which is available to all researchers in Louisiana. That has its pluses and minuses. On one hand, you're competing with everybody else for cycles on these machines. But on the other hand, these are open to all researchers throughout Louisiana. And then LSU's main campus has the CCT host high performance computing, which is again available to all LBRN researchers through associations with the LBRN. And the LSU HPC, which is separate from the CCT HPC, but that's also available to all of our LBRN researchers. And then lastly, I'll mention that I just got, I'm the PI on a new NSF grant, which is through the Cyber Infrastructure program, and that is a $400,000 grant that we are acquiring a new cluster computer that we're going to be installing at the Health Sciences Center in New Orleans. And this will be something that the biomedical researchers down here have direct access to, but also can be utilized by LBRN researchers through associations through the program. And this, we just got the specs on this that we're buying. It's going to have 1,440 total compute cores, providing about almost 200 teraflops of computing throughput. And then in terms of software infrastructure, there's an array of bioinformatics software that is maintained on the computing infrastructure to assist the LBRN researchers. And but the major, there's a list of a number of different software that we keep available on these resources. But as you all know, the major impediment to doing bioinformatics research is not necessarily the hardware and the software. It's engaging with the expertise, people who know how to use these tools and to put them together to do meaningful computational biology and bioinformatics. So that brings me to the educational resources. And the LBRN hosts a variety of training sessions on HPC utilization, scripting, and software utilization. And there's personnel available to assist our researchers with use of those HPC resources if they want to access them directly, and they can contact our Associate Director, Nayeon Kim, for details on those programs, but they're also available on the LBRN website. And we really we want to expose the researchers throughout our network to bioinformatics methods. And this is done through the LBRN annual meeting, which we're holding right now, the summer research program, and also our annual conference on bioinformatics and computational biology. So last year in early April was supposed to be our 8th annual bioinformatics conference. But unfortunately, due to the timing and the quick emergence of the pandemic, we didn't have time to pivot our program to a virtual format at that time. So we actually had to cancel the meeting. And as Ramesh mentioned earlier, we already had lined up a presentation, a whole session from the NIH Strides initiative, which was going to be led by Todd Riley. And we had keynote speakers from the Amazon Web Services and Google Cloud Research communities. And so we've re-invited them this year. And this is just a promotion to save the date. Our annual conference is going to be the April 15th through 17th. So that's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And we've confirmed that the NIH Stride session is going to be held on that Thursday, April 15th. And then we'll also, as we'll be circulating the flyer in the coming month about our program and the other eminent bioinformatics and computational biology speakers that we're going to have give keynote talks at that conference. So in terms of educating the researchers about bioinformatics, the landscape has really changed over the course of the last decade or so. And bioinformatics is really no longer a niche area that can be served by a handful of specialized researchers who are, computer scientists and mathematicians. And nearly every discipline within biomedical research now has the need for bioinformatics methods. So we really, attempt to bridge this gap between the biological researchers and the computing researchers. And the challenge here, though, is that you need to train this larger cohort of biomedical researchers. And the problem with that is that those researchers, they need not be bioinformatics specialists, but some of them will have very diverse backgrounds. And this leads to challenges with the traditional format of educational programs. And I found this when I was trying to give some of the early lecture series on bioinformatics, where I got very disparate reviews from the course. And some students said it went way too fast for them. It didn't have enough details. And other students said they were bored to tears. So those were the ends of the spectrum, whereas, the primary bell-shaped curve were people who were very satisfied with the pace of the course. But with just the diverse backgrounds that you have coming in, some people who have been programming for a long time, other people who haven't programmed at all, it's become very difficult to, hold a traditional course. So the emerging solution that we have is a bit more reliance on technology to provide online learning opportunities that allow our students to really move at their own pace, which they really can't do in a traditional classroom environment, but online they can repeat sessions, they can go at their own pace. And so early on, I had conducted some lecture series and I worked with our media site team to capture these lectures. And these lectures persist as two full-fledged courses, one which was an introduction to informatics and the other which was an introduction to analysis of the microbiota. And all of our researchers can take advantage of this. All the lectures and the slide sets are recorded along with some homeworks and assignments, and they're available at those above URLs. And after posting this, I actually got an email from some folks in the Northern New England Clinical and Translational Research Network, and they had found this material and they asked me if it was okay for them to post it so that their investigators could benefit from access to those resources. So this was a sort of a broader impact that I hadn't even anticipated until this email came in, and I was being asked for permission for other people to be able to use these recorded lecture series, which primarily I provided for the LBRN. And so in terms of our PUI usage, when we did these lecture series, we co-enrolled from some students from LSU Shreveport, which Erska helped to direct that course, and also Southern University in Baton Rouge, where Wesley Gray helped to enroll students from there. And they were able to remotely view the lectures, and the material in the lectures was then supplemented with on-site experiences from the home instructors. But this process was really hard to scale up due to just the need for us to be split across research and teaching and all the things that we have to do. And so more recently, we've partnered, the LBRN has established a partnership with PUI Biotech, and they've developed a library of courses that, much like the lecture series, the students can take at their own pace. And this is going to address parts of the critical need for education in this field. And initially, we established this in summer of 2018, and we got 25 educational licenses that we purchased through the LBRN for use by the LBRN PUI campuses. And then additional licenses were supported through the CCT. And all of our attendees worked through hands-on educational material that was provided at PUI Biotech through their EDU Bioinfo course portal. And this was genomics, metagenomics, and several transcriptomics courses. And all of our students were then encouraged to present project posters at the LBRN annual meeting, which many of them did. And because of the pilot's success, it's been since expanded into a partnership. And I'm going to hand things over right now to Elia Brodsky, because he really is better to give you an overview of both the educational offerings that PUI Biotech has through this partnership, in addition to some of the bioinformatics pipelines that they can support.
Thank you. So I wanted to thank you, Chris, for the introduction. And I wanted to kind of take the time to briefly introduce a few resources that our team has developed to support training and research in bioinformatics, as well as now data science for both students and faculty to leverage in their biomedical research, or learn about the publicly available data sets and become proficient in analytical methods to process, analyze, and interpret these effectively. So the OmicsLogic resources are designed around key omics data types, as Chris mentioned, with big data cloud-based data analysis tools, coding exercises in R and Python, as well as project-based tutorials that combine biological or biomedical topics with data analytics, statistical analysis principles, and curated data sets in a variety of applications. And so what our company really does is provides an opportunity for recent graduates and students to leverage their skills in bioinformatics and computational biology to train and mentor others, with a growing community of over 7,000 students worldwide, and now a growing community in Louisiana, which we're very excited about. And so the academic oversight for work is ensured by a close collaboration with the Tower Bioinformatics Research Center, which is at University of Haifa in Israel, and is directed by Dr. Alfred Tauber and Dr. Leonid Brodsky. So the center recently signed a memorandum of understanding with the Louisiana State University to collaborate on research projects, expand these training programs, and establish faculty and student exchange programs. So hopefully this will be possible after the pandemic, but also due to the increased online opportunities that have been highlighted due to these unfortunate events, as we can see here in this virtual conference, hopefully virtual use of these resources will be enhanced. So let me introduce the specific solutions that we have been focused on for the past several years. Recently, as was mentioned by Chris, LBRN has started offering a number of research licenses to the Bioinfo platform, which provides a simple and intuitive user interface for processing, analysis, and machine learning methods for integration of multi-omics data. And to support the growing number of users, we're now offering processing the data on our shared server infrastructure, as well as on Google Cloud. So now you can run pipelines on our servers, or you can send them to Google Cloud directly. And so we're now developing pipelines that support the analysis of omics data generated by the current pandemic, such as the virology-specific tools for genomic data generated by throughout this pandemic. And that includes evolutionary studies, host pathogen interaction, and intra-host variation studies. Importantly, we're now focused on developing user-friendly tools for annotation and visualization of results as well. And we hope that this will help link significant signatures found in genomic data with biologically relevant visualization and reporting capabilities. And so we hope that these tools will help streamline the analysis and reporting on important genomic signatures that will make the analysis results clear to both as well as biologists using these analytical pipelines. We're also in final stages of completion for validation of specific areas of analysis that combine tools for cancer research, aging, and virology, as well as a collection of tools for multi-omics integration, which has been a topic that has been discussed widely in scientific literature. So these are available through the LBRN licenses that could be requested from the LBRN. We also realized that many users lack some basic bioinformatics terminology and necessary concepts to perform reproducible analysis. So in 2020, we launched a number of data science training tutorials combining our 6 omics-specific course collections with this new resources developed to help understand the code behind many of the algorithms, offering training in statistical analysis, machine learning, experimental design, data mining, and systems biology. So these include basic as well as more advanced tutorials with browser-based R and Python exercises, where users can learn about scripting, some popular visualization and data analysis packages for data science, and learn how to apply those to a variety of different data types. So, and as a result, we started developing a series of data science specific course collections that also break down the analytical and different machine learning methods into very short tutorials for asynchronous use. And so we hope to increase using these resources, the capacity for data mining and machine learning methods so that those could be used effectively to analyze big data sets and do predictive analysis. And together with LBRN, we're going to start offering these courses as program resources. They will be offered eventually with LBRN certification. And we're now working with a number of faculty throughout the LBRN campuses to help integrate these asynchronous courses into curricula offered throughout the different PUIs. To kind of briefly share with you how we have used these materials over the past year and what are some of the ways that the LBRN community can gain access to these resources and materials. So as a part of our collaboration with LBRN, we have this online complete asynchronous course that can be accessed by students throughout the year at any time, starting with an introduction to bioinformatics and learning about the logic of data analysis in application to various omics data types. So this is available, and I think we recently made an announcement about that. So we will soon announce how people can actually start that process. These basic materials are offered as an introduction to bioinformatics module, which can be accessible to life science students without any previous experience in bioinformatics. The module covers the basics of genomics in biomedical applications. And we recently started the process of offering this course as an undergraduate course through the Department of Biological Sciences at LSU. And it can also be made available for other campuses that might want to use it as a gentle introduction to bioinformatics. The coursework itself was developed internally primarily, but also other contributors included faculty, such as this course on biomedical data analysis developed by Dr. Himanshu Raje, who graduated from LSU and is now a professor at Nicholls State University. In his course, he offers an example of pharmacogenomics testing using Python and gives a basic idea of what other types of various biological data might require people to be familiar with bioinformatics terminology. So based on the coursework that was already presented by Chris, we also developed a course on metagenomics to kind of break it down into smaller pieces of information that could be digested more easily. And so these courses offer a variety of processing tools that we've implemented into the same user-friendly interface. And that includes whole genome mapping onto the database, Kind2 and data amplicon pipelines, with both a user-friendly and also the coding aspects of visualization of that data. So here you can see some of the examples of the tutorials, including the famous phyloseq package that is often used. We also have now a graduate course that we offer jointly with the Division of Biotechnology and Molecular Medicine at Louisiana State University. It was led and organized by Dr. Gus Kasoulis, Dr. Ramesh Subramanian, and the support of Dr. Farhana Musarat, who is a postdoc at Dr. Kasoulis's lab. And as a result of that experience, we also formed a graduate program on bioinformatics for infectious diseases, where we use curated data sets from a number of different epidemic outbreaks to illustrate analysis methods relevant for infectious disease monitoring and biomedical research. Using these resources, we were able to offer training to over 200 students in the past year alone throughout Louisiana. And so we collected anonymous and specific feedback from students and faculty to help guide future development of these resources. We learned that the materials resonated well with the users and addressed a pressing need among the student as well as faculty. We also learned that the platform developed a unique opportunity for many to use big data analysis tools for the first time, which otherwise they would not have an opportunity to use. And many users reported a measurable increase in their understanding of technical bioinformatics terminology and understanding of how to practically apply such methods to different types of data sets and challenges. And we were also excited to see many undergraduate as well as graduate students provide feedback for the asynchronous training materials, the analytical pipelines that they've used, and participation in webinars that was offered in collaboration with LBRN. And I think that this is especially relevant because we do have such a diverse population of students that have very different backgrounds and very different levels of exposure to research using bioinformatics and data science. And this includes both undergraduate students and graduate students throughout the LBRN, primarily undergraduate institutions, as well as faculty that were able to learn about different aspects of bioinformatics and even use some of those tools in their own research. So that's all I had for today. Thank you for inviting me to share this.
All right. Thanks, Ilya. If there are any questions for either Chris or Ilya, now's a good time. The floor is open for questions if you have any in there. Otherwise, we'll transition to Dr. Lee from there.
Yeah, the only comment I would make, Ramesh, is that all new funded projects will go through review by both cores and for biostatistician before they are awarded. And there would be a session where we're going to be reviewing whether the appropriate tools have been used or what else can be done to help them move forward as we move forward. And of course, the same issue would be with new applications coming in. They will be reviewed by both cores and especially on the statistical side to make sure that ahead of the game we have in there. I think all of these things will be available information on the LBRN website. And I think we will be launching a lot of these. Ultimately, would like to create a curricula in the PUI campuses that use those tools. But we'll move forward with LBRN certification and hoping to have PUIs adopt certain of these materials, as Chris mentioned, in their own curricula as we move forward. So in the interest of time, I think we can proceed. Thank you.